Hi everyone, I'm Vone, owner maker of Vone Knits and the founder of the Handmade Creative Mastermind. Today I have a super special treat for you because I have the very awesome Phanessa Fong with us that I'm interviewing today. So how are you, Phanessa?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Super excited. Like I begged this girl for how many months have I been pursuing you to interview?
Um, about half a year.
Half a year, yes, half a year. And I started very slowly because I was like, Vanessa, can I interview you? Just a couple of questions for my blog. And you're like, all right.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, maybe no recording. And
And
then like,
here we are.
and then last week I was like, I'm gonna put a video camera on you. What do you think?
And
So
I
glad you-
said, what? I said, I have to put on makeup.
Yeah, yeah. So this is so awesome. So what is it that you do? Like, let's just say, let's tell everybody, what is it that you do?
With what, my life?
Your life, yes. Let's get to know a little bit about Vanessa.
Well, I do work full time. So doing the Handmade by Phanessa patterns and all that is, I would consider a hobby. And I also do a little bit of photography. Since I started Handmade by Phanessa, though, I do more of that than the photography because I have to sacrifice something.
Yep, the trade-offs. Yep.
Um, but
Um,
I still get to take pictures of my work. So in a way, I'm still doing what I love, photography.
that's true. That's true. It's
Yeah.
yeah. You can still have that outlet. How many years have you been doing Handmade by Vanessa? Like, how many years have you been selling the patterns or started?
I just started in August, I think. Was it August or
I
September? I
feel
can't.
like yes. After you joined the Facebook group, right?
Yeah, I think so. I can't
Yeah.
remember. I have horrible memory.
No, because I feel like we helped you out starting your Etsy shop. I feel
Yeah,
like
I did.
I think I want to sell my patterns on Etsy right now. I'm gonna put it on Ravelry. What do you think? And I,
Yeah, I
I do
did
remember
because
that.
I
So
didn't I didn't really think about doing that until my husband got a new job and it he was going to be pretty much missing. So that means I couldn't really do photography because I wouldn't have anyone to watch the three boys while I went out.
hmm
So I decided to dive in and yeah, I remember being in the group asking about Etsy, whoever had Etsy accounts asking for advice. You
hmm
know, it was kind of a hard thing to learn, I think.
yeah,
But you get used to it and it's fine. But right when you're starting off, it's a little confusing.
yeah. It's overwhelming. Everything new is overwhelming
Oh
until
yeah,
you do little steps, little things here and there, and then you learn along the way. You tweak
yeah,
and refine, and then I think that's the problem with people who want to start something new or start a new venture or start like Etsy or anything else, or even Instagram or creating a pattern or taking their craft into trying to monetize it. Um, they think that if they learn all the secrets, they can snap their fingers and they get there, and
hmm
it just doesn't work that way. I mean, maybe a shooting star is a rarity, but even how fast you went, I mean, you flew. I mean, let's just get right to it. I mean, I in July, I think I started the Facebook group. Vanessa comes tumbling in, like I think literally she tripped inside the Facebook group, going, "What's going on?" And I was so brand new to Facebook in general. We were both brand new, and I remember you having like you had just started to reach 1,000 followers on Instagram.
I
And that's
did.
before your patterns, that's before anything, right? Because you were just basically taking pictures of your craft
Yeah,
is basically what it was. And people were following you. And she hit 1,000 and she did this major giveaway that I was lucky to be a part of. And I was super excited that I knew somebody that had 1,000 followers on Instagram. And here we are, what are we, year later? A year later,
yeah, about a year.
even 11 months later, let's do this quick math. 11 months later, 26.1 thousand followers on Instagram.
Hey, I don't know. I don't know how it happens.
Crazy. So how
I,
often, so we already know like why people follow you because your pictures are phenomenal. Your pictures are
thank you.
absolutely gorgeous. Your
Thank
products are
you.
beautiful. Like, and uh, I'm looking at the feed right now. It's like, it's stunning every single shot. How often are you posting on Instagram?
Every day.
Every day, like once a day, twice a day,
I try to put out at least 3 photos a day.
3 photos a day? Are you using a scheduler, or is it just you
No,
going through your photos? Oh, I think I'm gonna put this one out. So do you plan anything out ahead, or
not always. Mostly no.
mostly no? Mostly you're just taking a shot of your kid and then popping it up quick.
So I crochet or knit every single day. I do
So
that
that,
every single day. So whether it's you know, in the process of making something, a finished product, or whatever, I'm always constantly taking pictures so I have something for my Instagram feed.
right.
And I do a lot more on the weekends so that I have a bunch of photos I may post throughout the week.
Hmm.
So
So there is a little batching in there. So most like some
yeah,
weekend batching that you can do. That's awesome. Because I'm looking at it, I'm like, wow, it's tough for me to even do one a day. And when I do, it's tough for me to do one a day. And then I've gotten to the point where I'm actually, well, this month I'm a little behind because this weekend got out of hand for me. But I've gotten to the point where I can batch a month's work. So in May, at the end of May, well, I took May off of Instagram altogether because I just got so overwhelmed with social media to begin with that I wanted to take some time off just to plan my schedule better, and that meant like just stepping away altogether. And then by the end of May, I was able to have a month's worth of content for June, and I liked that a lot. I liked doing that, so that I'm hoping to do that for July now, and then stay a month ahead of schedule for me. And then that allows me to do other things like make, and now I'm in a different season altogether because now I have to make 25 scars a month to hit my 100 scars for October. So I'm on a completely different schedule. So I definitely want to get social media out of the way, you know,
oh yeah.
so I can focus on product. But at the same time, um, uh, t- stop and take pictures along the way and bank them, so to speak, like the way you do. But
Yeah.
are you using Insta Story at all, or are you just posting?
What is it?
Are you using Insta Story at all? The
What?
story part of
Oh, you know what? I barely use that. If I do, it's almost crochet and unrelated to crochet and knitting.
just a quick glimpse of your life,
Yeah,
and then that,
like my kids running around on Father's Day or something.
yeah, something like that. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. So what is since you're really, really known for amazing, beautiful, and simple too. Because I tested one of your patterns. Like, you have like super complicated work, but very simply done. Like, I think that's what I love your patterns so much, because they're so complicated but simple to do. And I love that about it. So that's probably why you've gotten so big together. So how do you create patterns? Like, what is your process in that?
Well, thank you. Maybe it's because I'm lazy. So when I started, no, I'm serious. It's because I'm very busy, and when I make something, I want it to be easy for me, for everybody else that will be making it. When I first started learning, it was some of the patterns are so complicated, it just didn't make sense to me, and I would get really frustrated. So keeping that in mind when I write patterns, I'm always asking, what would a beginner ask, or what would they want to know? And having testers also really helps. And so I get a lot of my ideas from books, Pinterest. And then when I put together the pattern, I want to make it simple.
That's awesome. I have the same goal, Vanessa, and I wonder if it's because I'm lazy too, because I actually love
Yeah.
simplicity, and I let the yarn do the work. I'm like, that was one of my blogs where I'm like, what's your number one knit and crochet tip? Everybody always asks you, what's your number one tip? And mine is let the yarn do the work.
You're frozen again.
Uh, what, I think we're just going to keep going because I can still hear you. And so, yeah, like it'll relapse back. So let's just keep going. Um, so so your design process, so what do you sell your patterns at? Where can people can find your patterns?
I do have a website that I just want to go. It's designsbyphanessa.com. And from there, it links to my Ravelry store, to Craftsy and Etsy. So those are the three places that I sell my patterns.
Awesome.
Did you get that or did I freeze?
No, that went through. Everything was good. I'm gonna leave a link. I'm gonna leave all your links in my show description, so everything will be easy for them to find you. How about we finish off with one last thing? Is any photography tips, since you are a professional photographer by hobby? By hobby?
Yeah, you know what? A lot of people ask me this question, and I think if you really care about your photos, all you have to do is a little bit of a research, on it's mainly your background. So you don't want distracting backgrounds. I know sometimes I use like very busy backgrounds, but then my piece is more simple. And then lighting is very important. If you, I use mostly natural light. If I can, I have a set of umbrella lights that I use in my home studio. But just background, your lighting, and you can, like I posted on the Facebook, you can use so many things for backgrounds. You know, your backdrop. I use cardstock a lot, even blankets, just your table if it's cute. Anything that looks good on whatever piece you have. I see a lot of items that are placed on things that are similar color. There's no contrast, that just doesn't look too good. But there's a lot. If you have a DSLR camera, you can. A lot of people shoot on auto, and that's completely fine because as long as you're focusing in the right places, it does a pretty good job on auto. But if you want to improve, of course, I recommend looking into manual shooting, which can control all the aspects of your lighting, your shutter, and your aperture, which is how blurry your background is when you're focusing on something close, and that gives it a more creative look.
That's cool.
Lots of info there.
I learned a new word today, aperture. I've read it before, but I never knew what it meant, and now I know. So it's the distance of the focus point. That's what aperture is?
Your aperture it's basically, so if you learn your exposure triangle, it consists of your shutter speed, your aperture, and your ISO. I know it gets all technical, but the aperture alone is just like, let's say you focus on your hands and anything that's it is okay. So if your aperture is bigger, your background is more blurry.
Oh, okay.
You know
I
what I
actually
mean?
love that. I
Yeah.
actually
So yeah.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, and while I have you here, there is one picture that I absolutely love of yours. You just reposted it on one of your throwbacks recently because I've commented on it. It's the one of you holding your picture frame and you looking up at yourself from inside the picture frame. How did you do that?
Oh, that's two picture closet. That's what they call it. It's basically the one in the frame. It's just another picture of me sitting, looking up like this, and then I took the picture of myself holding the frame. And in Photoshop, you just place the other picture inside that square of the frame. So it's a composite of two photos.
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome. I I think you did another one recently too of with your son on his first day of school.
Oh yeah.
And the shadow of like a shadow version, or you know what I mean, of his.
Yeah, it's the same idea. You're using two photos
Mhm.
and I'm placing them together, and I basically make the first day of his school lighter so
Mm-hmm.
that it looks almost like a shell, you know.
Killer,
Yeah,
killer.
I like playing around.
Yeah. This is why Phanessa is so special, and this is why I've been begging her for like 6 months to get her on here. Um, Thank you so much, Phanessa, for doing this with me. I know you're very busy. I know that you have 3 boys, a full-time job, 2 side hobbies that you're killing it in, and so
Thank
everything
you.
is just. If you guys want to be a part of this Facebook group, this Dare to Be Original Facebook group that Phanessa's in, you know what I mean? Definitely join. The links are all in there, and I'm gonna leave all your descriptions or all your media outlets and everything so that they can find you easier. Is there anything else you want to touch on, or are we pretty much good? So you know what?
I think
Let me let me get maybe one more creative question. Like, so you knit and crochet every day, right? So how do you find your
I
inspiration? Like,
do.
what makes you like get up and go, okay, this is my next project. This is my next project.
Well, you know that I do mostly beanies.
Hmm.
And so I just, I mean, knitting is actually new to me. You know, I didn't start that till it was my 2006.
Oh,
And then it was just like a whole new world opened up for me. You know, I've been crocheting for a little bit. Um, and then I started, when I learned how to knit, it was like a whole new world open. And I'm like, oh my God, I have to make everything and every stitch. So, I mean, Pinterest, there's so many tutorials on stitches. I go to the library, they have a lot, my local library, they have a lot of crochet and knitting books. Because sometimes I just want to open a book, I don't want to look on the computer.
that's me
Um,
too.
yeah, and so, you know, I look at these stitches and I imagine like what it would look like in a hat. Not all of them ever, you know, not everything I make turns out right. So, but you guys don't see that. I don't post those, you know,
That's such a
those
great point, Vanessa. I'm so glad that you did point that out because everybody looks at like, social media and they think that everything is just always so perfect and clean. Like even my feed is just, this beautiful model with like a clean white background and they just think everything is just right and tight the first round, you know what I mean? And then people like see that and they
oh
want to
no.
emulate it. And then they get frustrated on their behind the scenes and then they're like, we can't do it. And then they give up and like, you don't know how many shots are sitting there. When I take my photos, I have like when I do a photo shoot, we'll say I get like 10, 15 scars that I have my model set up for. There's 1,500, 2,000 photos that come out, you know what I mean? Just from that, and you see what, one out of every 25,
Yeah.
35 that get posted, you know what I mean? And people don't realize that, and people don't so I'm sure with your math, I'm sure you're sitting there doing a lot of math in your beanies to get your stitches to match up right. Right?
It's, you know, sometimes I just want to throw my needles or my hook and say, forget it, this is too hard. But, you know, it is a lot of work. And then the numbers, you know, there's a lot of numbers involved.
Yeah, there's a lot
Yeah.
of numbers involved. Oh, well, that's great. Thank you so much for joining me. And I'm like honestly so excited. So everybody check out Phanessa. If you are not already following her, you should be. But I doubt I have to tell people to follow you, Phanessa, because I'm sure they already are. So
You know, surprisingly, oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Oh no, I just say, you know, people don't know that, you know, even though you gain a lot of followers, you lose a lot of followers too. You just, you know, you don't know why people are following and unfollowing you.
Oh,
But, you know, I don't really pay attention to that as much. It's just I keep doing what I'm doing because I enjoy it.
that's the best line ever. That's the best line ever. Because that's exactly what I keep telling everybody because they're always so obsessed with their numbers, and I'm always like, the numbers are not in your control. So like people are always like complaining or upset when like people follow them and unfollow them. I'm like, don't worry about what people are doing. The only thing that you have, the only thing that you have control over is what you're creating and what you're doing. So I'm just so glad that you touched on that, because that is so important. Well, thank you. And if you guys want to follow her, definitely check her out. I'm going to leave all the links in the description. And thank you so much again, Phanessa, for doing this with me. I'm like eternally blessed and grateful for this opportunity, this moment. So I will I will see
You're so
everybody.
sweet.
No, you're sweet for doing this. I will see everybody next
You're
week.
frozen.
Oh, that's all right. We'll muddle through this. We'll muddle through this. But I will see everybody next week. And thanks again. And I'll talk to you guys later. Have a blessed week, guys. Bye.